is just, it could be a Class A or Class B misdemeanor. But to go any further, I think we really have to keep, it's a strong lobbying effort that I don't see out there. I don't see it in as far as a grassroots movement.
Right, because you see the anti-efforts, which are much more funded from
from the medical, whether it's government. Yes, you're right. From the medical also, where all of them, because we were talking about why you don't see this, you don't push it, and I gave you the example of the gambling. I mean, if you put it up for a vote, now I don't know what it would be for marijuana, but if you put up for a vote to the people and allow them to vote, do you want to gamble or not? It would pass. It would pass tomorrow.
Which is unfortunate that Texas doesn't have ballot initiatives like that. Otherwise, medical marijuana would probably pass.
Well, that's another issue, would it? I don't know. I don't know. That would be an interesting question. I think that you would really have a kind of balance.
Oh, no. There's been surveys done in Texas. There was a survey done 4 years ago that said 73% of the Texas population feels that medical marijuana should be available to people that are sick and dying.
Let's not mince words here, but at this point, it's necessary to say that they didn't say necessarily that medical marijuana should be legalized outright, but the poll said that they should be provided an affirmative defense from their physicians. So, and that's what the bill has been about perennially for the Texas State Legislature. It looks like we have another call. Hi. Ooh.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the air.
Yes. How are you?
Good. How are you? Did you have a question or comment for us tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to make it real quick.
Sure.
Drugs as it relates to politics in the community.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you turn your television down?
Yes, I can.
Great.
Drugs as it relates to the politics in the community. Now, we all know that we lobby for funds through the state government and government. Is it true that crime, in order for these departments, the law enforcement departments, to receive money from the federal government, is it true that crime on a certain level in order to petition for funds in these particular communities? Because if there's no crime, there's no funds from the U.S. government or the state government. So crime has to exist to a certain extent in order for law enforcement to petition money from the state government and the U.S. government. Because like I said, there's no crime. Why give you money? So marijuana, to a certain point, has to be illegal in the community as part of the overall strategy against the war on drugs, in order to receive federal funds or state funds to enforce these rules. Is there a correlation between this in some way, shape, or form?
Thank you for the call. Very interesting question.
I think he does make a good analogy. However, the other question is, and I don't know if this is a fair analogy, but it's like saying which one came first, the chicken or the egg. The issue here is, do we really want to promote more crime just to get more federal funds, or is it a reality that there is crime and that's why we're asking for the funds?
Right.
Whereas if it's not there, and I don't know that becomes a police issue so much as a society issue.
Right. It's not like you're propagating crime by any means.
Like I said, I've been in.
You guys arrest more people.
No. The point is, you're right. If marijuana was legal, we couldn't ask for funds to fight marijuana use.
Right.
We couldn't do that. I mean, of course, that's I don't mean no disrespect, but that's a no-brainer. If we don't have a marijuana law, if we don't have the crime, we would probably be getting more funds for other stuff, to create more parks, to create more something else, not to fight crime. But the reality is, we do have a crime problem. Yet the city of Houston, to some degree in Harris County, has contained it. But one of the things that's interesting, what I've seen, is a lot of the crime has gone from the city to the suburbs. And what we used to see in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, the crime was in here. And out in the suburbs, everybody moved out to get away from the crime. Now it's everywhere.
The criminals moved out there.
Yes. So, and we got another caller.
Definitely. Hi, welcome to Drugs, Crime, and Politics.
Hello. I know Mr. Trevino has a lot of experience dealing with administering local police activities, and I'm sure it's a very, very budget-conscious process. There's very little, leeway in what can happen, and just in terms of the financing of law enforcement and the financial burden of it. Would Mr. Trevino support an honest conversation about alternatives like the registered addict program that Great Britain had in the 60s, where instead of running after these people as they steal, deal, and prostitute themselves for their addiction, they are put under a doctor's care. They finance their own care. The opiates themselves are dirt cheap when they're prescribed. Would he seriously, like to see a dialogue on a real change in American drug policy, like a registered addict program?
Great, thank you.
Let me tell you my opinion, first of all, on this so-called war on drugs. It's a feel-good political agenda. It's just a feel-good. It's easier to create this atmosphere of being tough on the drug problem than to have a realistic approach, because the realistic approach sometimes in the eyes of people, what you may be looked at as being soft on crime. So for an elected official on a certain level, you're putting yourself in jeopardy that you won't be there long. If the majority of the people do not understand your sincere approach, I can tell you with my over 30 years experience in law enforcement that it really, we need to relook at this. We need to have a serious conversation about alternatives, period, in the criminal justice system. Because we just have been looking at it as Elliot Ness did in the 20s and using that approach. And here we are in 2000, and we're still using the same approach.
So do you think that we need to get a conference going with people like you and our state legislators here in the Houston area?
I really think on a local level, on a grassroots level, we need to start. If you do not have the public opinion pushing that agenda, it doesn't matter what Victor Trevino says to some degree. I mean, it may matter because I have some experience and I give you my opinion, and maybe I may be considered somewhat, of an expert in law enforcement, like many others, and that would be okay. But it's a different approach. To go straight to the political agenda, I don't think it's not working, and it
hasn't been working.
It hasn't, because you're missing the key element, the grassroots, the people. And so what he was saying about the alternative to the caller, it's not so much that I will come out and support something until we have I will support a serious dialogue to look at different issues in criminal justice. And in this case, we're talking about drugs, but crime also, there's other issues we need to look at. I mean, when, you're looking about when somebody, a first offender in certain cases will get 15 years for a certain crime, and someone else with that same crime gets probation. There's a lot of discrepancies there that an honest community has got to say, well, what happened here? We can't just accept it because we've got the best system in the world, and sure, we make mistakes. So what? I mean, look at how many people right now are being released from prison because now we're using the DNA. And, not to mention too much politics, but the fact that now they're making a decision, we will use DNA as a big step. Huge step.
Oh, yeah, they're going to start taking DNA from everybody.
Well, but I mean in terms of helping someone that's accused of a crime. Oh, yeah. In that respect, how can we go wrong if it's a step in the right direction?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we have to take a break. We look forward to meeting you back here to ask some more questions from the extremely articulate and very knowledgeable Precinct 6 Constable Victor Trevino.
Oh, that's a great compliment.
Well, it's been an honest pleasure.